Good morning. Welcome to another Wine Steward video. Very honored that some of you actually still watch these things. You know, the videos were actually a product of the pandemic when we wouldn't be able to see all of you the same way we would have liked to ideally. And now, you know, we're re-engaging physically, and in other words, we can hug. At least, I know there's still shit out there, but whatever. We're getting back together again. But some people like these videos. This is another way to reach out to you. And so, you know, we, once a week, perform for you this way. And it's going to be useful for those of you who come to our events, for those of you who want to know what's new around here at the Wine Steward. In fact, if you just heard that bell, you know that more wine is coming in the back door even as we speak. Unfortunately, Dawn is down there to receive that product, so I don't have to hit the start button all over again. Point is, I take a while to get to the point, don't I? We have new wines to tell you about, and one of them's right in front of us. This is a rosé, and you might be saying, well, Jim, is your lighting bad? Well, it's always bad on these videos, but is that in fact a darker colored rosé? And in fact it is. And so even though it happens in the middle of this weekend's wine bar menu, which is newly published, I am going to start with this because it's a beautiful place to start. In fact, if I back up a little, you can read my whole shirt, which says, "Be romantic, drink Tavel." And you might notice if I peer forward that this hat comes from Tavel, France. Tavel is the name of a wine region. It is a wine region directly across the Rhone River from Châteauneuf-du-Pape. It is a wine region devoted entirely to the production of what? Rosé. In other words, there ain't no such thing as white Tavel nor red Tavel. Tavel rouge, no such thing. If it says Tavel on the label, and where does it say it? It says it at the bottom there, Tavel, T-A-V-E-L. It's got to be pink. And it is, in fact, almost always, if it's true to Tavel, if it's Tavelian, it's going to be a darker color of pink because that's the Tavel way. They call this the king of rosé. Who's they? Well, all the people who live in Tavel, of course, for marketing purposes, but it is kind of generally known out there as the king of rosé. And maybe one reason why it's the rosé of kings or the king of rosés is because it's got a little more power. It won the last election, fair and square. Actually, there was no election. Kings elect themselves, don't they? The point is, this is gorgeous, dark, beautiful, Grenache-based, dry rosé that's meant to have a little more muscle, a little more power, more royalty. It's more regal. It's lovely. Yeah, this is brand new 2021 from Domaine La Fonde. We've carried it before. It's good to see an old friend back here. Tavel can set you back more than this wine costs. This is in the low 20s, and I'll bet by the time your wine club discount, if you're a wine club member, gets engaged, then it's going to be around 20 and maybe even dip under $20. Beautiful new dry rosé on the shelf now. As you know, many 2021s have already arrived, and they're down there. Big beautiful sea of pink. Well, now this darker pink joins them. Tavel is in the house. Now let's talk about this weekend's menu, shall we? And let's courageously open this. Courageously, why do I say that? Well, for two reasons. Because it's a scary looking label, or a really cool looking label. I mean, I could have bought it just because that label is hard to resist. Whatever it is. This is finished with a bottle cap, a crown cap. And I kind of ran upstairs with this bottle, and I hope I have not over upset this Pétillant, Pétillant Natural. That's a style of sparkling wine. Sparkling winemaking, Pétillant Natural style involves not two, but one fermentations. So the primary fermentation finishes in individual bottles. And hold your breath. Oh, shit. Yeah, a little messy. You didn't see that, but well, here goes. Pretty dramatic. I mean, this is all staged, right? Yeah, I should not have run upstairs with a warm bottle of this. I should have chilled it and carefully cradled it and whatever. Goodbye, Tavel. Hello, Pétillant Natural. It's the sparkling wine of the week. It's on the wine bar menu this week. As you can see, it's quite frothy. And most Pétillants are, in fact, because the fermentation finishes in bottle, a little cloudy, meant to be cloudy. Boom. See that? Because one of the products or byproducts of fermentation is the spent yeast cells. So instead of filtering and getting those out of here, the classic look of a typical Pétillant is a cloudy one. It's worth the mess. Don't worry, we'll mess ourselves up, serve you, we'll bring a towel. This is going to be made of Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin Blanc. It's from Gascony, France. So southwest France, right? And what a label, huh? Look at this mess. All right, let's move on, shall we? We always do, what? Plus de Vie. Domaine de Plus de Vie, still offered by the glass, and there it is. It is going to be made of Carignan and Mauvais. This is the wine of the house. This is what we had made for us, and we had big time intellectual contributions to how it was going to be done. And we had a lot to do with the fruit sourcing. It's grown only about 30 miles that away, maybe even not even that, in Oakley. As the crow flies over Mount Diablo, maybe it's less than 30 miles. 60% Carignan. Do you know what Carignan does? Taste this wine and then you'll understand that it's endearingly gruff, or the other way around. And 40% Mauvais, otherwise known, and in that area, when the old-time farmers are growing it in Oakley, they would call it Mataro. You can also call it Monastrell if you want. Anyway, 3 names, 1 grape. Happens all the time. Domaine de Plus de Vie, very good glass of wine. And now, having talked about the rosé and the Plus de Vie and the sparkling, we're going to talk about a white flight and a red flight. I am very, very pleased with this white flight. It is for the courageous and the people who don't even worry if they can't pronounce all these crazy names we're going to try to throw at you. I don't even know how to pronounce all these crazy names. I do not speak Portuguese. I'm going to butcher one of these, but I can speak decent Spanish, so I can tell you this is by Gran Batan. This is a familiar friend who has just returned. It is Gran Batan Albarino from Rias Baixas, and it's brilliant. It's the new 2021 vintage. Couldn't wait to get it in. Got to finish my Pétillant though. I promise not to burp in this video. I'll probably break that promise. Okay, Gran Batan Albarino, fresh. I mean, even the label looks fresh, except it looks really old too, but the zingy lime green, and yet this is a label probably from the 1930s or 40s for this winery, and I just love its classic thing. Rias Baixas is just above Portugal in Galicia, Spain. This is from the region of Salnes, which is one of the subzones of Rias Baixas. That is right on the frickin' Atlantic Ocean, and a lot of people think they can sense brine in these wines, along with the lime and the maybe white nectarine. No oak, super refreshing. The brand new release of Gran Batan is here, and it launches the white flight. Now, let's tell you about another longtime favorite variety of the wine steward. We are very, very into Vermintino, and yet we never had this particular one until yesterday. Actually, I tasted it 3 days ago, and I said, I need a Vermintino in the store, so let's bring this in. This is from the best place in the world, perhaps, to grow Vermintino. That would be Sardinia, which is well off the west coast of Italy. Sardinia is Italy's island off the west coast, and it's a great place, like I said, for Vermintino. Here we go. A little richer, little more body going on here. No oak at all, but this wine just wants to say, I've got some mouthfeel coming, even though it's nose feel so far. It's aromatically rich. And then it cleans up. Nice stuff. A new Vermintino is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. You have been brought up to know what that is. We have been getting you into this grape over the last few years. Now look at this. Our first ever Petit Arban. Maybe that's how you say it. Maybe you say Vallée d'Aoste, which is the source, and that sounds kind of French, and yet we're right up against France and Switzerland in Italy. This is near Aosta, if that's how you say the city of Aosta, and we are in the boonies, very near the border of France, northwestern Italy here. This is cool. I mean, just look at that label. It is classical, isn't it? The Petit Arban, little known white grape, is grown only here and in Switzerland, and I'll bet there's none in California, so it's kind of cool that we get to taste something that is from absolutely nowhere else except Switzerland. Like I said, Petit Arban. Oh, beautiful. It's got kind of a tropical, nearly banana fragrance. And I had this the other day and I thought, here's one of those white wines that actually has a little bit of tannic resistance to them. We talk about tannins with respect to red wines normally. I think it's pork chop wine right there. That is good stuff. Taste have a whole glass of this to fully, you know what? Petit Arban, the grape from Valle d'Aosta. I hope I'm saying that right. Really neat, cool label. It starts with a label and it gets even better. Let's go somewhere else weird, shall we? Not so weird. In fact, even really, even local people are making it over to the Azores. In fact, a lot of local people, their ancestors came from the Azores, including our own Eric Edgar, and he and his family went there, 2 years ago perhaps, and who is there right now? Michael Kelly. Maybe he's almost finishing up over there, but he was just on the island of Pico from which this wine comes. The Canary Islands are well off the coast of, I guess, Africa, actually. They are volcanic islands, volcanic uprisings. And so we have said it before that volcanic soils can render a very distinctively beautiful wine, white or red. And it happens in this blend of, I'm going to kill this, and I need the reading glasses. This is going to be made of, it's going to be Arinto, I can say that, Arinto de Azores, ruining it already, Fernão Perez, and Verdejo and Muscatel, and I think it's best to not try to pronounce Portuguese words and just taste some Portuguese volcanically sourced wine. Yeah, they are sure to tell you that in the actual name, Terras de Lava, obviously land of lava. You should see, look at pictures on the internet. Have you ever done that? Of these vineyards. It's stunning. I mean, it's cool to see a place. I mean, it's probably far better to be there, but to just check out what this place looks like and maybe have a glass of this at the same time. How about this? Just come upstairs, sit on the mezzanine, get your phone out. I know, I would love to have a phoneless environment, but let's get real. So come up and look up pictures of vineyards on the island of Pico in the Canary Islands and have a glass of this beautiful thing. Oh. There's flowers in the finish. It's dry, it's bone dry. It's clean, very clean. There's a delicious, almost like vacancy in the middle of the mouth. Like, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. It shows up in the end. I think I want oily fish with that, like a salade niçoise with fantastic tuna, like the Ventresca tuna that we have now. That's from the belly of the tuna. It's the best stuff. Comes in a tin from Portugal. Hey, you get a Portuguese tuna with Azorean Portuguese white wine. Voila. Finally, let's have some Octubre. This wine is named after the month, Octubre, which means October. That's how they say it in Spanish, because in Spain they have a different word for everything. Thank you, Steve Martin. This is going to be made of two important grapes of the area, Garnacha Blanca, or Grenache Blanc if you want. Let's go Garnacha Blanca. That's a little more appropriate to the location. And Macabeo. This is going to be good. We put it at the end because it's got a little more flesh on its bones, but it's still a no oak white. Actually, it might have seen, some of it might have gone into like neutral barrels, but you don't want to oak up this stuff too much. It's got a nice body. You can already smell that body, aromatically enriched. Macabeo, by the way, is the same as what? Viura. So if you were in Rioja, Spain, you would call the grape Viura. But if you were making cava or wine here in Montsant, you would name the grape Viura, or Macabeo, which is more fun to say and dance to. God, that's good. It's white peach. It's not sweet, but it's got just this nice stone fruit, apricot, and peach richness to it. Really, really good. As it sits in a puddle of pet nat. It looks like somebody's dog got it. Whatever. At any rate, October. Why do they call the wine that? The importer could only tell me that that's what they consider the end of their year as far as their labors. And so this is their celebration wine, ending their harvest that they've been working so hard on. You know, get the grape ripe, carefully bring it inside, carefully render it into wine, and then have a glass of Octubre. Nice, nice, nice. Now, here we go. We are going to do a red flight that I think is beautiful. I got to choose these wines all by myself. It's especially cool that I got to, because today's the day that I should get to do anything I damn well please. You know what anyway, this is this is a red flight where all of the wines do wonderfully in this glass. This is a Pinot Noir glass. This is called the New World Pinot Noir glass. We love it for a lot of red wines, but Pinot Noir is especially great in it. So why don't we do a flight that consists mainly of Pinot Noir? And let's work south to north geographically with this 5 red wine flight consisting mainly of Pinot Noir. And how far south can you go? Well, why don't we go to South Africa for the first one? For, in fact, our very, very first ever Pinot Noir from South Africa. We've never had one from there before. In fact, I didn't even know they grew much of it. And I wouldn't really be courageous enough to try such a thing if it weren't for a particular vendor whom we trust and an importer whom we trust implicitly bringing us this South African Pinot Noir. And I thought, okay, I'll try it since you're pouring it. And in fact, this has none of that South African funk or Band-Aid quality that some of the reds somehow get. This is pretty. Oh, beautiful red flash of fruit. Medium bodied, it's very true to Pinot, and it's not sexed up. It's not made like, it doesn't go into the winery and they start adding all kinds of shit to it. It is real Pinot Noir and normal. I mean, it's not boring normal. It is correct to Pinot Noir. Good acidity and super fragrant. And from South Africa. I mean, who knew? It's our first copper pot. Copper pot Pinot Noir is the beginning of the red wine flights. Now, why don't we go a little closer to home? We're coming north. We're going to go north to Santa Barbara County. Santa Barbara County, otherwise known as Sideways Country. Yes, I am committed to very soon do a Sideways Country event for you folks where we highlight the Pinot Noirs and Chardonnays and other more surprising entries on the menu from Santa Barbara County. This is the producer Rusak, the only winery, I believe, with an actual tasting room in Ballard Canyon. Ballard Canyon is also the home of Carissima Mountain Vineyard, where from which that Beckman owns, and Beckman sources most of their wines. And perhaps more familiar to wine steward customers, this Ballard Canyon is the home of Stoltman. So Stoltman's Vineyard is there, and yet Stoltman's tasting room is just over the hill in downtown Los Olivos. Well, Rusak actually has a tasting room in Ballard Canyon you can visit. And you don't have to today because we got their wine here. We have a beautiful Chardonnay from them, this Pinot Noir, and we're about to club. They're a really pretty little Syrah too. But in the meantime, let's get to this. This is not grown in Ballard Canyon. It's not unusual for a producer in Santa Barbara County to reference different parts of that county for different varieties. Even though this says Santa Barbara County on the label, we have been told that it's grown entirely in or it comes entirely from the Bien Nacido Vineyard. Don, are you able to get that? Yeah, front door. Thank you. It's a FedEx. Thank you, Don. Here's this Pinot Noir from Rusak, from the Bien Nacido Vineyard, they say, and it's probably one of the least expensive Bien Nacido sourced Pinot Noir you can get. Oh, it's pretty. Strawberries and tea, maybe some tea, and baking spice. Very lifted, very, Oh, the more I smell it, the more, baking spice, strawberries, maybe there's something high acid like, when it's red and it's acidic, I think of fruit like blood orange or pomegranate. Like, there aren't that many things that are red fruit and citrus at the same time. So it's easy to fall into the descriptor category of pomegranate or blood orange. Oh, another correct Pinot Noir. Nice medium body. Silky, delicious. All right, what else should we put in the puddle of love up here? Let's go north. Let's go farther north. Let's go to Geodesy. Yes, that's how you say this very unfamiliar looking name. Judy Jordan of the Jordan family. You've heard of Jordan Winery up in the Alexander Valley. A long time ago, she started a project called J. I'm sure you've heard of J. You've seen the bottles with J. Sparkling wine, Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, and the like. Well, 30 years later, she sold that off and probably made some money and started a new project called Geodesy. Geodesy, something like that. Well, the project didn't really work out. And that's why we're the beneficiary of a wine that used to cost $90, which no longer does, because we were offered to buy the rest, which we thought was going to be 25 cases. It turned out to be only 7 remaining cases of this Oregon Pinot Noir. So this is from the Aola Amity Hills portion of the Willamette Valley. And I don't know if you can tell today, but the color on this Pinot is stupendous. It's got like dramatic color for Pinot. And this nose, we've just had pretty and fun and easygoing and correct Pinot Noir, and all of a sudden we're smelling significance. I mean, this smells like dirt in a good way, along with fruit, dark fruit. More about like blackberry and black cherry. And a beautiful, fragrant gruffness of earth. This is serious Pinot. Like, I think you need a meal with it, and you need to get some. It, like I said, no longer costs $90 because we kind of bailed them out. We bought the rest. We did that only after tasting the wine. It's fantastic. Comes in a bottle I can barely get my hand around, and so it's one of those luxury wines that you know, we're bringing it back down out of orbit to earth. And as far as price. And very pleased to have the last 7 cases of Geodesy Pinot Noir. Now, here's another one where this is like an uber wine that it got 99 freaking points from Tasting Panel. So that's an industry publication out there. We get Tasting Panel magazine dropped off here all the time. So the Tasting Panel said, holy shit, or basically, more correctly said, 99 points, and Karachi Pinot Noir also comes from Oregon. So we are still north. We're still doing our northward progression with yet another Pinot Noir. So this is Pinot Noir number 4 from Karachi. You might see that the color is a little lighter, but you'll understand why I'm putting it after that darker Pinot once you smell it. It's a little sexier, perhaps. The other one was more masculine, and now this is more pretty and feminine, albeit rich and like sexy feminine, okay? I can see why they gave it 99 points. It's supposed to cost something like $70. It doesn't here at the Wine Steward. We just made a big commitment to it, so we got a better price, and so do you. Karachi, single vineyard Pinot Noir from a newly named sub-AVA of the Willamette Valley called Mount Pisgah. So that's the that's one of several like subsections, sub-AVAs of the Willamette Valley in Oregon. Anyway, if you don't care, that's fine, because you're gonna love this wine. It's just beautiful, sexy fruit. All right. The last wine will not be Pinot Noir, but it will kick ass in this glass, and it's going to be from Washington State. So let's go to a wine from K. Vintners, which is rendered by a crazy guy named Charles Smith. And man alive, I've got to look at this back label to remind myself of what's in it. I couldn't even fit on one line without using very tiny fonts what is actually included in this. Now, you can see it's not all that dark, but man, it's explosive aromatically. And we have here Mourvèdre. So the first grape, Mourvèdre, if you want to say Mourvèdre, Grenache, Syrah, Counoise, Grenache Blanc, Picpoul, and Senso. This is a lot of stuff. And it all is crammed into this wine and bottle. A wine called Charlotte for some reason. I have no idea why. I don't care. I'm just loving this nose. If it smells like Charlotte, good. I guess I should meet Charlotte too. But I'm happy to meet you, Charlotte. It follows perfectly after the Pinot Noirs. It's still super elegant and velvety, fragrant. It's a very nice segue. You know what I want to do? I want to say thank you again for watching the video. I want to put this up right in front of you. Let's finish where we started. I am so glad that the wine steward, gosh, 15, maybe 20 years ago, started to bravely carry dry rosé when virtually none of you were considering the beverage. Maybe none of you knew that that pink could come in dry, and in fact, I didn't know it yet. And so we were learning, as you were, that pink wine wasn't all white Zinfandel, because that was the still the rage at the time. And we were kind of like easing our way out of that, realizing we were kind of sick of the sweet stuff. And here came this dry stuff, dry rosé. And man, thanks to you, we're selling a lot of it. This time of the year certainly accommodates drinking that beautiful dry stuff. And here's to you for being open-minded enough to drink pink wine. Tavel. It's richer, a little darker. It's so, well, you know what she said in Sideways, right? Thank you. Have a great one.